So let me just flip the question the other way, Gavin and Jerry Brown and Nancy Pelosi. What did you think was going to happen when over the last 25 years you let in 10 million people into California that were undocumented? Where were they going to live? Where were they going to get medical care? Where were they going to go to school? How was it going to affect other people? How were they going to drive when they didn't know anything about American traffic law? Where were they going to get a and did any of that affect you? And the answer is no, it didn't affect you.
Yeah.
It affected other people, poor people, middle-class people. So that's why you did it. You felt good about it, but you never lived among the people you so-called championed. And that's the problem. It swarms a system.
Victor Davis Hanson delivers a blunt, unfiltered critique of California's political leadership and the cultural fallout of decades of unchecked illegal immigration, elite detachment, and progressive double standards. Hanson argues that policymakers like Gavin Newsom, Jerry Brown, and Nancy Pelosi embraced open border policies without living among or bearing the burdens faced by the working and middle class. Overcrowded schools, strained healthcare, overwhelmed law enforcement, and eroded civic norms. He paints a vivid picture of cultural friction, from littered parking lots to backlogged medical appointments, as symptoms of a system swamped by political self-interest. The message is clear. When leadership ignores the daily realities of its citizens, frustration turns into cultural rebellion.
50% of Californians don't pay income tax, state income tax. 1% pays 50% of all tax revenue, 1% of the households. 5% pay about 65 to 70%. So when you go into these communities, you know, there's also a mindset. It has nothing to do with your ethnic background, but if you go into a country and the first thing you do is break the law knowingly by crossing that border without permission, and the second thing you do is you stay there without permission, the third thing you're likely to do is to try to justify that with some fraudulent form of ID, then that policy changes. You know, I can tell you, whether you like this sounds illiberal or not, I can tell you that if I go into a major shopping center in my area at 6 a.m, you should see the parking lot. It's just covered with trash and litter, and people come in. And these are not U.S. citizens that do it because they are inculcated with a different. When I see people, they always take their shopping cart and they put back. But people who just come across the border, maybe they're too impoverished, but their attitude is, I haven't been acculturated to your customs and traditions, but I do know the ones that I came from. And so if I'm going to leave trash in yesterday I went in I had to go through 5 shopping carts, Jack, before I could find one that didn't have trash in it. And these are not the ones out in the park. These are the ones that they brought back in. They either had newspaper, bargains or tissues or hand wipes in the shopping cart. And every time, it's just everywhere when you're living there. And the people that I work with who are in Tony Palo Alto have no idea what it's like. And when they go to a doctor, they don't wait. They don't go from 15 minutes to 3 minutes. And so, as I said, I've gone to about 2 specialists, and it takes months in this area to get a doctor. And when you see them, it's like, I've got to type on this, Victor, so we got to go really quickly. What did you have any of this? When's the last time you came in here? I can't remember. Okay, got any problems? See ya. That's what it is. And it never used to be that way. Never used to be that way. So it affects people in hundreds of different ways. If you look in law enforcement, what do you do when you pull over someone? You write a ticket. What if you write a ticket and the person is going to run, or he's never going to show up, or he's never going to pay? And what do? You tow the car? Then what do you do with the guy? You just leave him on the side of the road? There's just a myriad of problems happen when you flood the zone with people here illegally. And when you have a country like Mexico who deliberately exports people for the $63 billion in remittances they send home, then you've got a force multiplier of the effect. Mexico deliberately tries to destroy the border. What Mr. Obrador used to say, it's a beautiful thing that we sent 40 million people into the United States. That's what he said. People are getting tired of lectured. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't drink this, you can't do that. Especially when you add in the force multiplying effect of hypocrisy. So it's a kind of a counter-revolution that's cultural. I guess these young men are saying, you know what? I go to college, I see these very attractive women, and they dress in a way that no one ever dressed in the 1950s, even 60s or 70s. Their midriffs are showing, they're skin tight. This is fine. We all love it. We go to the beach, there's string bikinis. But I do know that if I get into a physical relationship with this person and mutually it falls apart, we just don't want to see each other, but one person is the predominant person wants to break it off, me, male, that person will have a complaint against me. And one of the complaints will be that I was sexually harassing or I sexually assault, and I don't want to get involved anymore. So there's all these articles now from feminists, men don't want to date. No, they're not. They just know that that when they go out on a college campus or anywhere and they date a woman and they get involved with a woman and it doesn't work out, the person who feels aggrieved, and probably because of their caddish behavior. In the old days, we'd say, he's a cad. He was cruel. He's a player. Just forget about him. But today it becomes a criminal matter. So that's one thing. The other thing is they don't want to go to campus and see the president of Sac State say that he wants to destroy whiteness. They're sick of that. They work, they go there, they have $50,000 in student loans. They're not eligible for minority scholarships. They're working at Home Depot or, Olive Garden. They come to school, they take their units, they go back to work, and then they hear that the president says that they're privileged and he wants to destroy them, basically, because their whiteness in his mind. They're sick of that. They're sick of that. They see some guy who's a guy like them, and he's got suddenly long hair and he's got huge shoulders and muscles, and suddenly he's winning the track and swimming, and they say to somebody, that guy's a male and he shouldn't be anywhere near women. If I did that, and they said, oh, no, you're illiberal, you can't say that. And so, they drive up in their pickup and they say, oh, what do you get to the gallon to that? That's just a gas hog you're taking. And they say, well, I just, look at San Jose. It's full of thousands of San Jose airports, thousands of private Gulfstreams. Who are those people? So they're sick of being lectured to about race and gender and political correctness and New Green Deal.
If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date with future videos. Thank you for watching.